Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Stormforge Productions. I'm Isaac Tate, I own the place. Our tabletop role-playing game, The Ruined Age, has a unique and interesting magic system which allows the players to create nearly any sort of effect that they can think of. This series of videos will take you through the system so that by the end of it, you will know as much about the magic system as I do. If you want to use this magic system in your own homebrewed games, so much the better. In the first video, we looked at the basic concepts of creating arrays and making them work. Those are the fundamental rules of the arrays, and alone can be used to create any array you want. But in this video, we will look at some more advanced concepts that will allow you to get the most out of your arrays. The first of these is the complex array, which simply means that an array is inside a larger array. Here you can see two simple arrays inside a larger array. One array has taken a role of the centrum, while the other has taken a role of a locus. It doesn't matter how many arrays are inside the complex array, there must still always be a centrum, or a focus for the array. Here you can see that one array has taken that role, but even within that array, there will still be another true centrum. The entire complex array will work at changing, modifying, and affecting that inner true centrum. As an example, say you want to create a small campfire, but you want to make sure there's always enough oxygen to keep it going. The central array would then be your campfire centrum, while the secondary array will focus on drawing in the air needed to keep that fire going. You don't need several arrays within a larger array to call it a complex array. You can also have a complete array be a part of a standard array. The complete array then just acts like a normal locus, affecting whatever rune is in the centrum. Just remember that when using complex arrays, the runes of the completed arrays inside do not affect anything that those completed arrays are linked to. It is the effect of that completed array which affects the arrays or runes it is linked to. For example, the pull and contain runes of the pull air array are not individually affecting the campfire array. It is the effect of air being pulled towards the array that is being overlaid onto the campfire array. A pedantic distinction maybe, but it is an important one. When using multiple arrays inside a complex array, showing where in the orders of operation each array and locus is works much the same as in a simple array. You still use corners to indicate which locus or array is activating first and which one it is activating. A locus can affect an array, and an array can affect a locus, so the rules are the same for everything. From here on out, things can get complicated really quickly. That's because this is where we start to make the arrays more accurate and more defined. The purpose of this magic system is so that you can create any effect to any specification or restriction that you want. The first of these specifications is the size of the effect that you want. There are 5 size modification runes: tiny, small, medium or regular, large, and gargantuan. The names give you an indication of how they will look, but there are numbers behind those names. The size runes work as multipliers of the array's diameter, circumference, and area. So the eventual size of the effect that is created will depend as much on how big the runic array is drawn as it is about the size runes. The size runes multiplier is based off a logarithmic scale. Tiny is 1% of the array, small is 10%, medium is 100%, large is 1000%, and gargantuan is 10,000%. Or, if you want to put it another way, tiny is 0.01 times the area of the array, small is 0.1, medium is 1 times the array, large is 10, and gargantuan is 100 times. You can use these as is to get an approximate size that you want, but they can be used together to get as accurate a size as you can imagine. By modifying a target rune with several size runes, you can add their sizes together to come to a final size. As shown here, 3 tiny runes are modifying a wood rune. This means that the size of the wood created will be 3% of the area of the runic array, or 0.03. Instead of just adding size runes together, you can multiply them by modifying a size rune with another size rune. Here you can see a gargantuan rune modified with a tiny rune. This means that 100 is multiplied by 0.01. The result is 1, the same effect as a medium rune. This isn't very useful, but you can modify a gargantuan rune with another one, creating a result of 10,000 times, or 100 million%. And here's a tiny rune modified with another one, resulting in a size of 0.0001, or 0.01%. When you have added and modified all the size runes that you're looking for, simply apply to what you need to modify the focus. Like here, where you can see a wood rune modified by everything that has been talked about here, creating wood with a size of 11,101.111 times the runic array's area. The containment rune can greatly affect the outcome of the various size runes. When you modify a containment rune with a size rune, then you affect how large the containment field is. You can use this to force the containment field to be larger than the runic array, or even smaller. On the other hand, if you modify another rune with a size rune and then contain it, interesting things can happen. The default size for the contain rune is the runic array circumference. If the rune is not modified, this will stay the same no matter what. So if you want to make a very large fire, but you don't modify the contain rune, the fire will still try and be quite large. But because it can't go beyond the runic array, it will go the only way it can, up. This is a quick and easy way to make columns of whatever size you want. Now that you know how to make your array size accurate up to several decimal places, we'll see how you can do the same with time. There are 3 runes that deal with time: stop, slow, and quicken. Stop is self-explanatory. It stops time for whatever you are targeting. If you link stop and human, then time will stop only for humans, not for anything else, like the bullets moving towards them. Slow and quicken act almost like multipliers on everything they modify. Quicken increases the speed by 100%, while slow slows it by 50%. You can modify runes several times with time runes to add their effects together, or even modify time runes with other time runes to get more accurate results in the same way as with size runes. Here we see a time rune modified by a quicken rune, modified by a slow rune. This works from the bottom to the top. The slow rune impacts the quicken rune by reducing its effectiveness by 50%. This means that time will move at an additional 50% of its normal speed. And by adding an additional quicken rune to modify the time rune, we can give an extra 100% to the time effects. This means that the total speed of time will now move at 250%. And here's an array using all of what we have talked about. It is the fiery platform. The centrum is a combined rune of a large circular stone. It is being modified by a create rune, a float rune, and a contain large combined rune that excludes water. The other array inside is a fire array. It sustains a large fire that is moving at an eighth of normal speed. Note how the create rune is affecting both the centrum and a fire array. While it is possible to use 2 create runes in a complex array such as this, using one rune to affect multiple others is a good way to save space and time. The result of this array is a large floating platform that is always on fire, and that fire is in slow motion, and all of this can't be quenched by water. And there you have it. Now not only do you know everything you need to start making your own magic, you now know how to make it as accurate and detailed as possible. Next week will be the last video in this series. In it, we'll explore some interesting tools that will allow you to literally create any magic effect that you can think of. Thanks very much for watching, and stay tuned.